Hi, this is Natalie with the Fifth Journey, and I wanted to do a quick video talking about glycerin dew as well as choices in wrapping soaps depending on what your market is for sales. These soaps I actually made 4 months ago, and normally I would wrap them at the 6-week mark once they are cured, so they are ready to go to shows. However, it is spring 2020, and I just did my first market this last weekend. I should have been doing shows. Normally I would have started doing shows 2 months ago, and I just haven't had the need to wrap things up, and little backstory, we're also in the middle of a move, so these have just been sitting on the shelves. We have had a very humid spring, and this kind of goes into what has happened with these particular soaps. What I ended up doing, this is a cold process soap, and I used melt and pour embeds in them. And as you can see, there's a lot of glycerin dew on them. And like I said, these I made 4 months ago. They have not been wrapped. But this is a really good example of what will happen. And if you buy soap, especially the ones that have the melt and pour or the glycerin soap embeds, or ones that are purely glycerin soap, you don't want to keep them in your bathroom in a humid area where they are unwrapped, because that's what's going to happen. You can see it was so bad that it was really dripping. Now, it's not particularly hot right now. It really doesn't feel humid, but there's still a lot of humidity in the air. So you can see those drips coming off of there. Now, the reason why I really wanted to show this to you is I have had people that ask, well, why don't you use cardboard boxes? Why don't you use cigar band type wraps? Why don't you leave them naked? And this soap, I mean, feeling the cold process part of it, it does feel a little bit slippery because it is humid. Where I live, it's very humid, and leaving them unwrapped is not an option. If I were to only be doing wholesale, or only to have things in stores where they have an environment that has climate control, where their air conditioner is on all the time, then that might not be an issue. However, most of my events are outdoors. There's going to be rain, there's going to be humidity, there's going to be heat, and wrapping them in cardboard or paper wrap or cigar bands just is not a viable option, and I would end up ruining my soaps, ruining my labels. When I very first started out, I did do the cigar bands, and I did a show and everything stuck together. I had to re-wrap everything. There are the plastic options that are recyclable. There are some bio wraps that are biodegradable. I'm looking into those right now because I would like to switch to those. But that's really the main reason why I have to wrap them that way, because I can't have the cardboard, imagine this going on the cardboard, it's going to ruin it, and then ruining the labels, and that that costs extra money because you're ruining materials. And another reason with using the plastic types, whether it's biodegradable or not, is it does protect the product, where people can see through it, they can look through it, and I've had the issue where people will unwrap them, open them up, customers will, because they want to see it, they want to smell it, and this has really been the best option for not only protecting the product, but also allowing people to see it. What I'm going to end up doing with these is I will scrape off as much as I can, and then I'm going to rinse them off, set them in front of a fan, and then go ahead and wrap them up. But that's kind of an idea of what happens with the soaps in those environments, and why soap makers do have to make the choices they do in how they are wrapping and presenting their product. Yes, we want to be as environmentally conscious as possible. There are biodegradable wraps out there. The cost of them is quite a bit greater than the normal, but it is worth it to do that, and I will be upgrading to that very soon. But this is really what happens. So again, make sure that you're keeping your soaps wrapped until you use them, because if you're going to have them in the shower, it doesn't really matter if they look like this. But you don't want to have that sitting under your sink, or sitting, somewhere in your pantry or your bathroom with the wrap not on it. So make sure to keep them wrapped how they are. If you go to an event, a farmer's market, a show or something, and you see them wrapped, that is why, especially if you live in a humid area. Some people who live in desert type areas, they can have the melt and pour soaps out without being wrapped. I have seen it, and people are like, oh, it's fine. That would be disastrous where I live. Anyway, I will show a picture of these once they're all cleaned up, and you'll see what they look like. And I hope this video kind of explained a few things as far as why some people, some soap makers, wrap them the way they do, as well as what happens with that glycerin dew and how it kind of makes a mess of things. It's not harmful, it doesn't hurt anything, it's just purely cosmetic and what it looks like. Now, one other thing, I do have some of my soaps that are in different shops, and I still have to wrap those there because shops in my area, if we have a nice spring day, even if it's humid, they'll open their doors up and that humidity will all go to the soaps. So I still have to keep those wrapped. So hope this gave you some information and you can use it for the future. Take care and we'll see you soon.